Want to know how to figure out what to charge for your products or services so that you make lots of sales and each sale is super profitable? It's a great question, and it's one that I get all the time. And the answer, it's easier than you think, but I'll bet it's not what you think. Here's the short answer, and yeah, it might sound a little crazy. The ideal price for your product or service has nothing to do with what you think you should charge, and everything to do with what your customer thinks you should charge. Now, before you go clicking off this video convinced that you've got it all figured out, hang with me, because here's what that doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you ignore your costs, and it definitely doesn't mean you should race to the bottom with a bargain basement price just to make your customer happy. Stick with me. I'm going to unpack all this so it makes sense. And the best part when I do, when you really get what I'm about to show you, you can raise your prices and still sell more. Yeah, more, not less. So let's break it down step by step in plain English like I always do. But first, I got to tell you about a man who lays this out better than anyone else I know. His name is Alex Hormozi, and in his book, $100 Million Offers, I got to tell you, it's a straight up sledgehammer to the brain in the best way possible. No fluff, no theory, just real world formulas and frameworks from a guy who's built businesses that have done hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And one of the biggest game changers in the book is this concept of pricing based on value, not effort.
And so I sent a mass letter out to my customers that said we were going to go from $99 a month to $299 per month. So I was going to triple my prices. Add more value, but I was going to triple my prices. My clients, and I told them all, hey, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 2 weeks for free. So I did have to front this labor. 2 weeks free of this new service. It's much better. You're going to get way more personalized attention. You're going to be lifting weights. You're going to learn form, all this type of stuff. And I said, after those 2 weeks, you're going to automatically all be enrolled at $299 per month. Let me know if this is going to materially affect your life and you won't be able to buy groceries as a result of this decision. So here's what happened. 1/3 of my customers left. They said, Alex, you suck. I can't believe you're raising prices on us. Blah, 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 blah. 2/3 of them stayed at 3 times the price. What happened? I 2x'd the revenue of my business and I serviced only 2/3 of my customers, which means my cost of fulfillment went down and my revenue went up. Excellent combination. And so by doing that one thing, I was able to more than 2x the profit of my business.
Alex has a pricing framework that at its core is question-based. And if you ask the right questions, the sales and profitability results will blow your mind. Let me tell you a quick story, and I think this will help you sort of see what I mean. This story is about a client of mine. Let's call them ABC. ABC builds custom data management solutions for big companies, and I'm talking Fortune 500 big. They had this killer niche. They'd take the clunky, underutilized software platforms that companies already had, but couldn't quite figure out how to use, and they'd turn them into sleek, customized solutions. Clients loved them, but here's the kicker. They were charging by the hour. $250 to $350 an hour, depending on the project, which sounds pretty good, right? But every time they pitched a proposal, clients would do what clients do. They'd add up all the hours. They'd multiply by the hourly rate, and then they'd clinch at the total, even though what ABC was offering had huge value. So one day I asked the founder a simple question. What kind of results do your clients typically get? And she said, well, most save hundreds of hours a week across their teams. Because we cut out redundant tasks, streamline operations, and ultimately what they get are huge efficiency gains. I said, okay, let's take a recent project and let's really dive in. She pulled one up, and this was a project with 50 employees using the tool, each saving about 6 hours a week. We lowballed their average hourly wage and came out with $13,500 a week in savings every week. That's $702,000 a year from one solution. So I asked, what did you charge them for that? And she said, well, it took us about 200 hours of people time to build. So we charged them $50,000. I nearly fell out of my chair. They were charging $50,000 And the client was receiving value of over $700,000 a year, every year. Add that up. In 2 years, it was over $1 million they were saving. So I told her, we're going to stop charging for our time and start charging for the result. And we made all of our future offers that way, flat fee based on value. And you want to know what happened? I bet you know what happened. We sold more, not less. And the clients who paid us higher fees, they showed up with more energy and more buy-in. They followed up more often and much better. Why? I think it's because people don't value what they don't invest in. And this right here is what Hormozi talks about in his $100 million offers. How you figure out the best price you should charge has to do with how you answer 4 key questions. Here they are. What does your customer want? Alex calls this their dream outcome. How likely do they think they're going to get it? Alex calls this perceived likelihood of achievement. How long do they think it might take them to get it? Alex calls this time delay. And how much work do they think it will take? And what do they think they'll have to give up in order to get it? Alex calls this last piece effort and sacrifice. It's not about your billable hours. It's not about your cost plus margin. It's about value. Your pricing should be based upon the transformation that you deliver, not the inputs. You're not selling time. You're not even selling deliverables or a product. What you're really selling is a better version for someone. Okay, now I want you to zap that like button right now if you're getting value from this so far. Because I got to tell you, this is the stuff that changes businesses overnight. Now, here's some examples because I really, really want you to get this. Let's say you're a web designer. Most web designers charge for pages, features, and tech specs. But what if instead you positioned your offer around growth? The growth they were going to get from faster, cleaner, more optimized website. Now it's not just about hours, it's about outcome. And when you do that, you're no longer competing with Fiverr or some guy with a Wix login. You're in a different category. And this is what Hormozi calls moving from a commodity into a category of one. This is the ultimate result that your client wants, not what they're going to buy, but what they're going to become. ABC's example, the clients didn't want help with their operations. They wanted to free up their people's time so they could work on things that would help the business make more money. Number 2, perceived likelihood of achievement. This is your believability factor. Can you prove that you get these results? Using case studies, testimonials, or other data. This type of proof increases value super fast. At ABC, we started sharing our clients' wins in our website and our emails. We talked the story of one client who was able to completely repurpose an entire department because our solution automated all the work. And we talked about how that repurposed department was ecstatic because they were doing meaningful, impactful work. This is the kind of social proof that's rocket fuel. So number 3, time delay. How fast can you give them the result? Speed increases value. If you can help your clients get something in 30 days instead of 6 months, guess what? That's worth way more.